I think the plastic issue, just to give it a perspective, is an indicator of our wasteful ways that as we speak, the planet right now, we're consuming 1.7 planets and we only have one planet. So we're basically, living on a deficit. No? And the plastic issue is one of them because it's so convenient, so cheap that we just throw it away at the expense of the environment for the benefit of convenience.
Yeah.
Diba? So everything is single use, so just throw it away. It's so cheap. Unlike before, you have glass bottles, you have to return it several times because there's value in it. No?
Yeah.
So I think it's the overall perspective of consumers that we've been driven by convenience and the economy, but at the same time, now if you look at the cost of the impacts of the economy to the environment, it's a lot more to be able to reverse that.
Okay, now we have a lot of businessmen watching ANC. What can the business sector do? Because we do know you have companies that are essentially, they produce consumer goods, shampoos, soap, etc. And you really find sachets all over, let's say, Manila Bay. That's the biggest waste that you see even in landfills. What has Generation Hope done that could be a good example for other companies?
Okay, so in 2017, we started thinking about how we could aspire for a plastic neutral status. And so we started a conversation with quite a few companies to see how they were doing it and learn. And we found that there wasn't a really good solution across the space. So you talk about consumers being very wasteful, but the point is it's the companies that provide that kind of single-use packaging as well. So you almost don't give consumers an option on the packaging. Of course, they could dispose of it better, perhaps, by segregating and all of that. But the business community provides this packaging also because that's the affordability level of the market, right? And then on the other hand, you have the government, which of course has other priorities and really isn't thinking about ways to manage post-consumer plastic or post-consumer trash, right? Not just plastic. So you have these three forces coming together, and we said, well, since we don't have control over what the government does, and we have very little control over what the consumer does, and as Hope, we do sell water in plastic. We thought, okay, what are the ways we can try and do better? One, we thought we would provide a non-plastic option so that for consumers who can afford and care, they can choose a non-plastic option. So that's one. So change your packaging if you can. And then
or bring your own bottle.
Or bring your own bottle. We also
people
have,
never do usually, but then
right. So Hope also has that. We encourage people to bring their own bottle. We sell reusable bottles. The other thing we did is we said, okay, since we can't rely on the consumers to necessarily clean up after themselves or the government to do it, we said we wanted to come up with an innovative way to take responsibility as the manufacturer. Because if we are the ones putting the packaging out, we should take responsibility for taking it back.
Okay.
So we said, the most efficient way for us to do it, we can't go out and just collect Hope bottles.
Or ask for people to give it back.
Right, it's difficult, right, the logistics. So what we said is we are, as a company, as a business, going to measure the amount of plastic we put out in the market.
Okay.
So let's just say within 1 year, we put out 100 tons of plastic.
Did you?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
More than that.
More than, okay.
100. Last year, I think it was about 120 tons
All right,
of plastic.
okay, yeah.
So we put that out in the market. As a manufacturer, I committed that for every bottle I sell, just like with classrooms, I said, okay, if I'm going to set aside 1 peso for classrooms, I'm also going to set aside a certain amount to make sure I recover the same amount of plastic post-consumer.
Okay.
So the burden is on me to recover that plastic.
Yeah.
So what I did is I had a recovery fund. Whatever bottle I sell, let's say I get 5 centavos per bottle, I put that in a recovery fund.
Yeah.
I then work with my partners in the field to collect post-consumer plastic equal to 100 tons. It does not need to be Hope. It can be Coca-Cola, it can be shampoo bottles, it can be cooking oil bottles, as long as I'm removing 100 tons of plastic, which is my footprint, out out of the environment and I process it. And when I mean process it, I don't mean turning it into the things that WWF would frown upon. So we work with Green Ants to make the eco bricks for our classrooms.
Yes.
They also make eco bricks for other partners.
Yes.
We use that money for that. And then whatever extra, we work with Republic Cement, who has a co-processing facility which is environmentally compliant, and they use it for waste to energy.
Yeah.
So when at the end of the Republic Cement process, the plastic is not here anymore. It's been converted. It's not
into bricks, eco bricks.
Or well, in the case of Republic, it's energy.
Oh, great.
Right. So we our streams
So how is
go.
that? Is it incinerated or it's processed? What's the word?
Well, Republic
Well,
Cement,
it's part of their feedstock to
okay.
dry
Energy.
to make the cement.
Okay.
Kiln dryer,
Okay.
so.
All right. Now you may have.
In replacement of
coal.
Okay.
Right.
You may have medium-scale enterprises that are listening to you
Yes.
and will say, we can't afford what Nanette Medved-Po did.
You
It's-
can.
okay. They might say it's extra cost to
No.
the company.
It is.
Okay, go.
But the cost otherwise is worse, right? So I think as stewards of the country, right, businesses need to think about the bottom line outside of profitability. They need to think about their impact on the environment. And the truth is I used to think it was too expensive as well and said, oh, you know, but we tried it and we've now proven we've been plastic neutral for over a year now. We've proven that you can set aside a small amount of money that will go to recovering your plastic footprint, but at the same time make enough money like we do to build classrooms. So I'm small. If I can do it, certainly others can come up with some iteration of what I've done to do it as well.
Okay. Joel, what are the challenges with big companies?
I think it's scale.
Yeah.
And it's, at the end of the day, it's so complex that you have the supply chain or the chain of custody is so complex. No?
Yes.
But I think we should start the simple mantra of you reduce first,
Yes.
you try to recycle.
Yeah.
And
But this is on a personal
to
note.
reuse. Yeah, and then because it's the consumers itself, no, so the demand will be lesser.
But
And then
what
it's-
about companies? I'm just like big companies like Unilever, Procter and Gamble. I mean, all these massive companies that we use every day.
Yeah.
Go
Actually, I think the model of neutrality or recovering is one innovative way.
Yeah.
And there's also a new term to that. Kasi what Nanette is doing, it's called upcycling. Remember, when you go to recycling, you get the
same bottle,
the
let's say,
same bottle, and then
You use it.
and then you use energy to reproduce it for a virgin stock of plastic again. So it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of cost, no. But if you do upcycling,
That's interesting.
you just collect it, and then the equivalent amount, and you use it something far more usable or beneficial without much input.
Yeah.
So
Do you see many companies, Joel, that are upcycling, so to speak? It's the first time I've heard of the term, and it's nice.
upcycling. Kasi
Yeah.
I think what's important here is that the issue of plastics is a superb. It's a magic invention. No? It's so pliable. You have 1,001 ways of using it. For medicines,
Yes.
for extending the shelf life of our food,
Safety.
the food safety, so on and so forth. No? But the problem is how we dispose of that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what we're trying to do right now is try to recover as much, because only 9%, 91% of the plastic
Is
produced
not.
are not recycled. No?
Yes.
And then
What do you mean? 91%
Is not-
globally
yes.
is
are not recycled.
Yeah. And then 8 million metric tons of plastics end up in the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm sort of doing more marine work. When I started development work 30 years ago, I never imagined that plastics will be an issue
Yeah.
There will be more plastic in the ocean than fish by 2050.
if you don't do
Okay.
anything.
Yeah.
All right, so Nanette, actually, your advocacy and sharing what Hope did, it's so incredible, I have to say. Are you on a mission to, in a way, speak or share with big companies?
Yeah.
You have other companies that produce millions of bottles of water, right? That are in the supermarket shelves.
Yeah, no, I don't think that, certainly, I don't think we're here to just talk about hope, because we're a small player, and even if I upcycle and have a zero footprint in plastic, it's going to make no difference in the world. But I think the message here is to encourage others who are larger, because if they can do it, then we're really making a big difference in the world. And the truth is I just want to be fair to the large players you're talking about, whether it's soft drinks or water or you know, medical supplies or cooking oil, whoever. The truth is a lot of these companies, they don't want to pollute the planet. And I've heard from P&G, Unilever, Nestle, they're all trying to do their part. It's not that they don't want to, but it's a fairly new problem. And as big as they are, they need to be much more innovative than a small company like Hope, but they're certainly trying their best. And I want to just make it very clear, I'm not saying that the solution that we found is perfect. It certainly isn't, but it is what will work today. And I don't want to wait for a perfect solution before we do something. And I think that's what companies need to think about. And they need to also think about the fact that they need to explore what those costs will really be to be plastic neutral, rather than just be afraid to make that commitment altogether.
Okay, all right.